Hey all, here are OS Reviews. In this video, we're taking a quick look at the PowerBeat. This is a multifunctional mini Bluetooth speaker that also serves as a wireless Qi charger. So it can top up smartphones as well as AirPods, smartwatches up to 15 watts if it supports Qi charging, with a built-in magnet for Qi 2 as well as MagSafe compatibility. It kind of locks into place, and when you aren't using it for charging, you can of course listen to music with it. Supports true wireless stereo mode, so if you pick up a pack of 2, you have left and right channels, and also act as a kickstand as well when you pop it in this mode for, again, consuming movies without holding the phone onto your hand. Also has this transparent acrylic design with RGB lights on the inside that will glow, making it look a little bit more interesting in darker environments. So taking a quick look here at the presentation, a very simple box that just iterates some of those core functions, having 40mm dynamic drivers inside, technically using Bluetooth Protocol 5.4, so pretty up to date, 15-watt charging maximum using Qi 2, and when you're listening to music in the Bluetooth mode, it can last around 6 hours before you have to recharge it again. But again, if you are charging up other devices, you have to be plugged into a power bank or into a wall using Type-C, and this just acts as a Qi charging pad. Aside from the speakers themselves, on the inside of the box, you also find a standard USB Type-C charging cable, as well as a lanyard strap for hanging it onto a backpack when you're on the go, and there's also an included kind of universal 3M sticky that you can attach onto the back of the phone case, or if you have an Android smartphone that doesn't have a MagSafe or Qi 2 magnet built in by default, then using this adapter will allow you to add this functionality and still attach it onto the back of your phone, ensuring that it's compatible with most of the devices that you are using it with. Quick look at the design of the speakers. The mesh or grill is crafted out of metal, feeling decent, and then the acrylic section is crafted out of plastic. Then the bottom section here, which supports, again, wireless charging, has a soft touch grippy material, also preventing it from sliding around if you're setting it down to a table, for instance. And then we have simply a power key here on the side. Now, if you are turning on both speakers at the same time, you'll hear a beep or chime that indicates that the two sides have been paired automatically to one another. So there are a couple of subtle sound effects built into these speakers, including the power off sound as well. Kind of reminds me of a ripple or a wave. And it still is a pretty small speaker, all things considered, so sliding it into a pocket or into a backpack when you're on the road really shouldn't be too problematic. It's still able to stand upright, as you can tell there, without too many problems in the kickstand mode, and the magnet here is indeed actually quite strong built into the speaker. Even if you're giving your phone a slight shake, it's not going to come loose anytime soon. So overall, a pretty neat design if you do like this slightly more kind of cyberpunk or DIY aesthetic going on, feeling decent from a build quality perspective. And now a quick demo of the audio quality. So when you connect to it using Bluetooth settings, the speakers are called BW200. Alright, so turning things down, takeaway would be the audio quality is actually really not shabby. These 40mm drivers are still larger compared to what's built into most smartphones and even laptops and tablets. You get more volume output. We're only at around 70% in that demo here, but already filled up the smaller room without any problems, without really sounding too tinny or thin, even at those higher levels as well when it comes to trebles. And there's a touch of bass. It's not going to be as powerful, obviously, as a boombox speaker with a larger passive radiator, but still you get a touch of kick when you're listening to a drum beat or pop music in general that still sounds satisfying enough. Better than expected audio overall, I would say. Maybe the only slight con is if you are listening really closely and maybe turning the volume all the way down, you can hear that there is still a hair of distortion there in the background. It's not really a true hi-fi speaker in the sense that it's using traditional Bluetooth codecs of SBC and AAC as opposed to high-res audio wireless codecs like LDAC or aptX lossless, for instance. But overall, it still seems to be doing a good enough job, and even in the true wireless mode, I found it to be quite manageable from the perspective of latency as well. So consuming some videos on YouTube as well as Netflix didn't feel too problematic with the video, even though there isn't really a companion app support to give you a dedicated gaming mode or low latency mode per se. But generally speaking, connectivity wasn't too problematic as long as you're within around a 10-meter range from the phone and speakers. They still sounded pretty decent. And again, you get that stereo separation if you are placing them a little bit further apart. Audio comes out kind of in a 360-degree way, which makes it pretty immersive. Even if you're pointing it away from you in the kickstand mode, audio was still loud and clear enough. Maybe the only exception would be if you are covering them up or putting them completely down onto a table and you're using it in the wireless charging mode. Well, in a scenario like this, because the speaker grills are completely covered, just know that the audio will definitely sound a bit more muffled. So if you wanted to charge as well as listen to music simultaneously, ideally you have to kind of pop it upright at a slight angle so the grills there won't be covered up. Now, a few other points would be these speakers don't come with any official IP rating, so you gotta be more careful not to really get them wet if you're using them by a pool, for instance. And one final feature they're technically missing would be a built-in microphone, so you can't really use these as a speakerphone for making calls or video conferencing, which might have been another cool application considering they can be used as a kickstand. So that's also one kind of curious omission that would be nice to find, again, maybe in a Pro model down the line. Here's also one more demo, just using some Dolby Atmos to really test out the stereo separation. Alright, so hopefully that made it obvious that, again, it do act as real stereo channels. So when you're watching movies, for instance, it does feel like objects are moving across the screen sonically and adding to the immersiveness overall. In other words, the TWS mode isn't just repeating the same sound across the two speakers, but they are actually being split into left and right sides. Now, one other feature that would have been nice to find, though, perhaps again in a Pro model down the line, would be a way to further customize the lighting effects. Right now, by default, they are always in this kind of RGBIC way, which slowly goes into a gradient rainbow of sorts, but you're not quite able to set it into a specific single color or shade, and you can't really pause it as it's going through its animation loop. So again, in a perfect world, if they unlocked some sort of companion app support to control properties like EQ, latency, and also controlling the lights a little bit more, that would also be neat to find. And the two sides can kind of lock together. It's not perfect because of the magnets there, but overall it still makes it a little bit easier to carry. And now testing out the wireless charging mode, plugging in a Type-C cable, we're going to just pop this onto our phone here, and then within a split second, you can see that the wireless charging has started. So it is recognized without any problems, and you can still use it in the kickstand as well as in the speaker mode while charging is in progress, if you choose to do so. In fact, you can even do some gaming simultaneously if you are wirelessly charging, just by maybe shifting it to a position like this and then holding your phone in the landscape orientation. And again, at up to 15 watts, it's considered relatively quick for a Qi charger. Wired fast charging these days can reach north of 100 to 200 watts in extreme cases, but this is just a little bit more convenient if you want to just quickly top it in, perhaps if you're in a darker space or environment, and for it to just begin charging there, as well as acting as perhaps a nightstand mode. If you are going to bed, you can pop up your phone, use it to set up an alarm, and have it charge up over the course of a couple of hours. Again, already faster compared to Gen 1 Qi wireless chargers, which used to be only 7.5 watts as average. Now, this is now doubled at 15 watts, but if you want to go even faster, you may have to look at larger wireless charging stations. And I can verify that other smaller appliances supporting wireless charging, including wireless headphones as well as smartwatches, can also be charged using this pad as well. It's a smart charger in the sense that once battery reaches 100%, it will stop charging automatically to prevent any overheating or overcharging as well. So not bad. During the operation time, it still seems to be pretty normal in terms of thermals, not getting too hot or warm, still remaining cool to the touch. That being said, perhaps adding a couple of more animations with the LEDs, again, if you're using it only in the wireless charging mode, might have been cool, but overall, again, it still functions well enough. And as far as controls are concerned, that single power key also serves triple duty in a way. You can tap on it once to play and pause audio, as well as double tap to actually turn the lights on and off. What would have been nice to find though would be maybe some additional buttons for controlling the volume as well as skipping tracks. That seems to be not present at this moment. So that is more or less it as far as our quick hands-on review of these wireless MagSafe 3-in-1 Bluetooth speakers, combining a wireless charger along with kickstand, as well as stereo speakers. And overall, again, sound quality is a little bit better than expected for something that is very compact, and I can indeed confirm that all the advertised functions do work, including the kickstand mode, even though I still think there are a couple of areas where they can possibly improve on it to make it even more well-rounded, including adding in a few more physical controls for music, as well as possibly lighting effects, and perhaps if they wanted to even pivot the wireless charging pad to rotate it in a couple more angles. These could all be aspects that takes it to the next level if they're looking for a more premium model in the future. But as it still is a pretty cool concept if you want to combine multiple features, again, including wireless charging, in addition to acting as small speakers, all into one product. You can check out more details if interested in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. These have been the MagCharge mini Bluetooth speakers.